Now, the next general election may be a long time away, but that hasn't stopped the Tory MPs from looking over their shoulders, as polls show the love for Boris Johnson is waning. Now, the Prime Minister is looking likely to face a dressing down from furious Conservative MPs over his government's chaotic handling of the pandemic. This is according to a new poll that shows the Tories have surrendered a massive lead to Labour in just 5 months. The opinion poll for The Observer shows Labour are now level pegging with the Tories for the first time since summer 2019. This was before Boris Johnson was leader. So according to the polling, the Tories are back to where they started just before Boris took over leadership from Theresa May. In just 5 months from the beginning of the full lockdown that Boris Johnson imposed, the Tory party have lost a 26-point lead over Labour. The Labour Party now stand neck and neck with the Tories on 40%. The Liberal Democrats under the new leader Ed Davey, who was elected just last week, are currently on 6%. Now, how times have changed. Back in the summer of 2019, the two main parties were hemorrhaging support to both the Brexit Party and the Liberal Democrats. Boris Johnson has seen his party's lead sink from 26% when the Tories were flying high at the beginning of the year down to 0. He was ironically maintaining his support levels during the early mishandling of the pandemic and also as new cases were beginning to peak. However, two things seem to have changed that. The chaos surrounding the easing of the lockdown, the shambles of the tracing app, the quarantine, and the fact that Boris Johnson had been upstaged by a more professional leader in Scotland, all added to his woes. Another headache for Boris Johnson is the appointment of a new Labour leader. Keir Starmer is generally better liked than the Prime Minister. I've also commented a number of times on how Keir Starmer is much better at holding Boris Johnson to account than his predecessor. Recently, the Tories have been unsettled by the exam mess, the Education Secretary's mishandling of it, and the lame attempt to brush it off. He eventually apologised, but I feel this is due to the fact that the Scottish First Minister did so first. The next few weeks are going to be very difficult for Boris Johnson. On the 16th of September, he has to speak before the House of Commons Liaison Committee, which consists of senior backbenchers. He'll be asked about all the government's shortcomings, from Brexit to the lack of PPE. On the very same day, the Education Secretary Williamson will appear before the All-Party Education Select Committee, where he will have to explain what went wrong with the exams this month. Just to put into context how far Boris Johnson has fallen in the polls, towards the end of March, a few days after Boris Johnson imposed the full UK lockdown, the Tories were surging ahead on 54% of the vote, with the leaderless Labour Party on just 28%. Boris Johnson's own personal ratings were also extremely positive, but now he's consistently falling behind the current leader of the Labour Party, Keir Starmer. Boris has gone from being the darling of Brexit to being the leg iron of COVID. I have said this before that as soon as the Tories start to feel the heat, they will jettison him. I don't expect this to happen this year, or even before the UK Council elections, which are due to take place next May. But a strong showing for Labour next May, along with an SNP majority in Scotland, would put an end to Boris Johnson. Well, that would be the conventional thinking. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?